In this lesson, we're going to talk about how to convert a decimal number into an octal number. So let's start with this example, 394, which is in the base 10 system. How can we convert it into an octal number, which is in the base 8 system? Well, the first thing you need to do is take the number that you have and divide it by 8. So let's use a calculator to do that. Now, 394 divided by 8 is 49.25. Now, what we need to do here is we need to identify the remainder. So we have 49 and then remainder. In order to identify it, take the decimal value, the numbers after the decimal point, that is 0.25, and then multiply it by 8. So 8 times 0.25 is 2. So we have 49, remainder 2. Now, take the 49 and then divide that by 8. 49 divided by 8 is 6.125. So this is going to be 6 remainder, and then multiply 0.125 by 8. So 8 times 0.125 is 1. So we have 6, remainder 1. Next, take 6 and divide it by 8. Now, because 6 is less than 8, we could say that 8 goes into 6 0 times, with a remainder of 6. If you take 6 divided by 8, it's going to give you 0.75. So this number gets transferred here. And then if you multiply the 0.75 by 8, it's going to give you 6. And so you get a remainder of 6. Now the way you read your answer is you read it starting from the most significant digit to the least significant digit. So you read the remainders from the bottom to the top. So the first number is a 6. And then after that, we have a 1. And then we have a 2. And this is in the base 8 system. So 394 in the base 10 system is equal to 612 in the base 8 system. And so that is how we can convert a decimal number into an octal number. Now let's work on another example. So try this one, 784. Go ahead and use a calculator to convert it into an octal number. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 784 and divide it by 8. (784) divided by 8 is exactly 98. So this is 98, remainder is 0. Now let's take 98 and divide it by 8. So you should get 12.25. So this is 12, remainder, and then 0.25 times 8 is 2. So it's 12, remainder 2. Next, let's take this 12 and then divide it by 8. So 12 divided by 8 is 1.5. So this is 1, remainder, and then 8 times 0.5 is 4. So it's 1, remainder 4. Now our next number is 1. So 1 divided by 8. So because 1 is less than 8, we can say that 8 goes into 1 0 times, with a remainder of whatever this is. In this case, the remainder is 1. And now we're going to read it from the bottom to the top. So we have a 1, a 4, a 2, and a 0. So therefore, 784 as a decimal is basically 1420 in the octal system. So this is the answer. Now let's try one more example using a calculator. So let's try 1264 base 10. Let's convert it to an octal number. So feel free to pause the video and try that example problem. So we know the process by now. The first thing to do is to divide it by 8. 1264 divided by 8 is exactly 158. And so we say this is 158, remainder 0. Now let's take 158 and divide it by 8. And so we're going to get 19.75. And so this is going to be 19 remainder. Now if we multiply 8 by 0.75, that's going to give us 6. So we have 19 remainder 6. Now let's take the 19 and divide it by 8. 19 divided by 8 is 2.375. So this is 2 remainder, and then 0.375 times 8 is 3. So we have 2 remainder 3. Now let's take the 2 and divide it by 8. So 2 is less than 8. Therefore, 8 goes into 2 0 times with a remainder of 2. So now let's read it this way. So it's 2360 base 8. So this is our answer in the octal system. Now let's talk about how to convert a decimal number into an octal number, but without using a calculator. Because sometimes you might be given a test question and you can't use a scientific device. So let's talk about how to do that. Okay, let's fix that. So let's convert 62 into an octal number. So we need to divide 62 divided by 8. So let's use long division. How many times does 8 go into 62? 8 goes into 62 7 times. 8 times 7 is 56, and 62 minus 56 is 6. So this is our remainder. So 62 divided by 8 is 7, remainder 6. And so that's how we can do it. Next, we have 7 divided by 8. Since 7 is less than 8, we could say 8 goes into 7 0 times with a remainder of 7. And so reading it this way, we could see that it's 76 or 76 in the octal system. So this here is our final answer for this problem. And so as you can see, converting it from a decimal number into an octal number is pretty straightforward. You simply need to divide by 8, collect the remainders, and then you'll get your answer. Let's do another example without the use of a calculator. Let's use 468. So go ahead and try this problem. So let's divide 468 by 8. So let's start with long division. How many times does 8 go into 46? 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 6 is 48, so that's too much. So we could say that 8 goes into 46 5 times. 8 times 5 is 40. 46 minus 40 is 6. Now let's bring down the 8. So how many times does 8 go into 68? 8 goes into 68 8 times. 8 times 8 is 64 with a remainder of 4, because 4 is less than 8. So the first answer is 58, remainder 4. Now let's take 58 and let's divide it by 8. So let's use long division. Now 8 goes into 58 7 times. 8 times 7 is 56, and 58 minus 56 is 2. And 2 doesn't go into 8. So this will give us 7, remainder 2. Now the last thing we need to do is take this number and divide it by 8. So 8 doesn't go into 7. It goes into 7 0 times with a remainder of what we see here, 7. And so we're going to read it from the bottom to the top, and that's going to give us our answer. So 468 in the base 10 system is equal to 724 in the base 8 system. And so that is how we can convert a decimal number into an octal number without the use of a calculator.